Hix retentionable aluminum frames are stronger, lighter, higher tension, cheaper, and last longer than any frame system wood and welded. With Hix retins, you can print faster, use less ink, and maintain tighter registration. Take your next stretch forward with Hix Retin aluminum retentionable frames. You will get advanced frame technology that will give you the best prints while saving you time and money. Leave all the hassles of stretch and glue or cumbersome old-style roller frames behind. With Hix Retins, you get durable, lightweight aluminum design. Reduce ink consumption by 20%. Reduce mesh consumption by 70%. Easy, quick mesh attachment. Simple to use tension jacks. Consistent, controllable mesh tension for higher print quality. Linear stretch system for flat frames that do not warp. Square sidebars that mount into any printer. Now let's look at the features of other old-style frames and compare them to Hix Retins. Some frames require alignment clips and end feeding spline that are hard to use and can tear mesh. Hix Retins use mesh holding splines that snap easily into place by pushing straight down on them. Some frames use big tools that are awkward and hard to use. Hix Retins use dual twist jacks that are easy to turn and no complex stretching table. Roller frames require extra mesh protectors. Exposed mesh on the outside of the frame can be nicked and tear while inserting in your printer, cleaning, drying, or storage. Hix Retins have no exposed mesh to protect on the outside of the frame. The mesh is tucked neatly in the top spline slot. Our frames can be easily inserted in your printer, cleaned, dried, and even stored on the edge. Roller frames require printer clamp adapters since they are made round and the screen clamps in printers are square. Hix Retins are already made square, so they do not need anything else to fit into a printer. Some frames can, over time, trap fluids inside that can eventually leak onto garments while printing and ruin them. Hix Retins are hollow, so that when you wash them, fluids can drain out freely and not become trapped inside. Some frames require expensive large tables to stretch the frame on, or they will twist and curl up while tensioning. Hix Retins can be evenly stretched on your counter, screen dryer, or any flat surface. Wood frames are initially cheap to buy, but have very low tension, and they cannot be retensioned since the mesh is stapled to the wood. In the long run, they really cost you a lot more. Hix Retins are made of lightweight aluminum alloy and extruded into our patented sturdy design that will last and last for many years. Mesh lasts much longer at a higher tension and can be retensioned at any time. Hix Retins are the best and easiest frames available. Once your frame is assembled, attach the mesh, soften the corners, and tension. Your screen mesh will then be ready to degrease, coat, expose, and then tape off for printing. With Hix Retins, you can print faster, use less ink, and maintain tighter registration. Hix Retin frames are available in manual, automatic, and large format sizes up to 55 inches. Once you try Hix Retins, you will never go back to any other. We are so sure that you'll like our frames that we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on all stock sizes. Hix Retins are the framework for your success. To find out more about the full line of Hix screen printing and heat transfer equipment, go to www.hixcorp.com or call 1-800-835-0606. We will now show you the detailed instructions on how to use Hix Reten aluminum screen frames. You will need to purchase a Hix Reten toolkit that comes in either manual M, automatic A or A40, or large format LF. Each toolkit is different in size to your corresponding frame size. With the manual M and automatic A or A40 toolkits, you will receive foam pad, 2 tension jacks, spline insertion tool, Allen driver, and an instruction manual. Pause the video and read through your manual before proceeding. With the large format LF toolkit, you will receive 2 tension jacks, wrench with socket, spline insertion tool, foam pad, and an instruction manual. Pause the video and read through your manual before proceeding. These toolkits can be used on any Hix frames of the corresponding size. You will also need a tension meter to measure the exact tension you are stretching the mesh to. This is available for purchase from Hix. When you receive a manual M or automatic A or A40 Hix Reten frame, it will consist of 4 sidebars, 4 corners, 4 black spline, 4 orange spline, 8 bolts, and 8 nuts. With a large format LF Hix Reten frame, there will be 4 sidebars, 8 corners, 4 black spline, 4 orange spline, 8 bolts, 8 nuts, and 16 washers. When you receive a Hix Reten frame, you will have a fast, one-time assembly. It'll be ready for any mesh attachment from then on. First, lay out your sidebars and corners in a square. For manual M and automatic A or A40 size frames, place a nut and bolt in each hole and insert a corner into each end of the sides. Work your way all around the frame, inserting the bolts, nuts, and corners. On the last sidebar, insert both corners into it first, and then push it into the rest of the assembled frame at the same time. Push in all the corners as far as possible, and then snug all the bolts with your Allen driver. You are now ready to attach and stretch your mesh. For large format LF size frames, place one corner in the first inside groove of the frame and one corner on the outside of the frame on each end of the sidebars. Put a washer and bolt through the hole in the frame and a washer and nut on the inside of the frame. Work your way all around the frame, inserting the bolts, washers, nuts, and corners in each side end. Push in the corners as far as possible and snug all the bolts with your socket wrench. You are now ready to attach and stretch your mesh. Lay the foam pad in the middle of the completed frame. Cut your mesh a few inches larger than the frame all the way around and place it on top. Center and insert the black spline down over the mesh and into the slot of the frame, pushing towards the middle of the frame with the tool. Hold the spline in with 1 or 2 fingers, then fold the mesh over with your other hand towards the middle of the frame. Center and insert the orange spline down over the mesh and into the slot of the frame, pushing towards the middle of the frame with the tool. Repeat this with the remaining 3 sides. The spline goes in the slot towards the frame, never away from the frame. Place each tension jack into the end of the same bar. Loosen the top 2 bolts on the inner sides of the frame. At the same time, turn the knobs of the tension jacks equally in a clockwise motion until the mesh starts to tighten. Usually 10 to 20 half turns is a good place to stop. Always use the same number of half turns for all 4 sides. There are also marks on each side of the 4 corners that can be used as a guide for spacing. Tighten the top 2 bolts on the inner sides of the frame and remove the tension jacks. Repeat this process on the remaining 3 sides, making sure to use the same number of half turns as you started with. Now that the mesh has been initially stretched, it's time to soften the corners. Make 1-inch pencil marks on each side of the corners along the spline track. Using the spline tool, push down on the black spline only in the slot of the frame while at the same time pushing down on the mesh with your hand. The pencil marks help show how much you have loosened the mesh away from the frame. Do this on the remaining 3 corners. You may soften your corners at any time with Hix retens. You will have to soften the corners more than once for higher tensions greater than 30 newtons. You are now ready to do the final stretching to the exact newtons that you want. Place the 2 tension jacks into the slots of the end bar. Loosen the bolts on the inner side of the frame closest to the tension jacks. Place the tension meter in the middle of the mesh, running in the direction you are stretching. At the same time, turn the knobs of the tension jacks equally in a clockwise motion until you get close to the newton reading that you want. Keep track of the number of turns you are tensioning to so that you can repeat the equal number of turns on the other 3 sides. Tighten the top 2 bolts on the inner sides of the frame and remove the tension jacks. Repeat this process on the remaining 3 sides. Always place the tension meter running in the direction you are stretching, which is 90 degrees from the side you have your tension jacks inserted in. When you're done stretching your frame, you can then cut off the excess mesh around the edges. Your screen mesh is now ready to be degreased, coated, exposed, and then taped off for printing. Hix offers optional plastic corner dams that make it easier for you to tape off your Reten screen frame. These corner dams save time, save ink, and make cleanup a snap. Now you can see why Hix retens are the superior frame technology that will give you the best prints while saving you time and money. Hix retens are the framework for your success. To find out more about the full line of Hix screen printing and heat transfer equipment, go to www.hixcorp.com or call 1-800-835-0606.